Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Just around the corner is training camp for our precious Redbirds. We're here to cover it all. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brack at Bo Brack at the PHNX headquarters downtown Phoenix. And I did not think Bo Brack, on the heels of another episode of their Quality Insider Series flight plan, that Kyler Murray was going to be strapping up, albeit off the field, throwing the football around with his old man, something we all love to do. I didn't think we'd get that here 2 weeks before training camp, yet here we are.
Here we are talking, speculating about Kyler Murray, and could he be ahead of schedule? Could he return before we even expected it? Could he shock the world? Yeah, I mean, it's a nice little surprise. We're sitting here. We got basically all we have is the All-Star game. And, of course, America's pastime. You got Kyler Murray, like you said, playing catch with his pops in the backyard. And when that short clip, and we'll show it to you, but we got a few nuggets that have people thinking, are these hints that K1 could be potentially week 1?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, very believable if you subscribe and listen to this program, because I think you and I have always been of the mindset, like, it's not going to be all season. It's not going to be November, right? When he does return. I think at the latest, you and I thought October, sometime in October. Yet you watch him during the offseason program. You see how far he's progressed. We label him the freak show in the best possible way. Top 10 draft pick in Major League Baseball, the first overall pick in the NFL draft. And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't this guy return early? He has been ultra motivated, ultra competitive. And Bo, even though Jonathan Gannon told us at the NFL Combine that they were going to take their time, right? Kid gloves with Kyler Murray, make sure everybody's, got him cleared mentally and physically. Is somebody in the chat, Kenny Wilson, I can't believe Kyler is pressing this hard to get back. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not surprised. Doesn't surprise me at all.
I mean, he's a competitor at the end of the day. And I think that far too often gets discounted when people talk about and analyze Kyler Murray's game is his competitiveness. He really is. I mean, and that's, I think that plays into, and people try to color it up as a negative, but even when he's playing video games, I mean, there's a competitive streak there. But let's get into the video. So this video dropped via AZ Cardinals. It's a promotion for flight plan post right after our show ended yesterday. And it was just, it got, I know the hosts and probably the producer of this podcast, like borderline giddy. Take a look for yourself.
Y'all get to do this much?
Every day.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Got to stay in throwing shape. Did you run today?
Yeah, I did. What I do, I did, he said 14 point something? 15 point something?
15 MPHs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's getting better.
Getting it up?
It's getting better.
First of all, can we just, his hose of an arm is just so absurd, even in his backyard with his dad.
I know
how fast the ball moves and the sound that it makes when it leaves his hand. It's like we've forgotten because he's been out of mind, out of psyche for a little bit. But I mean, I know there were some comments of the video like, oh, he's not putting pressure on his leg. He's not what do you want him to do? You want him to stand on the torn ACL only and throw the football? He's got pads on. It's July. He's got a shell on. That's what it's called. You got your helmet and your shoulder pads on. It's called a shell. He's got shells on in July, and the season is in September. You guys do the math here of what I believe is going to transpire.
He's only supposed to be on his Xbox, I thought. I mean, I thought that was what I read about Kyler Murray. They're completely wrong. I mean, I just love everything about this video. It reminds me of the days back when I was like in college and my dad would call me and you had to go through the laundry list of things, often in my case, making up what I'd already accomplished that day. I was just doing some laundry, just went to the grocery store. When it was completely untrue. But there he is, a father, giving his fatherly approval when Kyler Murray's going through his daily routine. He ran today and he's just casually saying after, 7 months removed from ACL and meniscus surgery that he ran 14 to 15 miles per hour. he hit 14 to 15 miles per hour, and then whip, he's just throwing darts out there, just casual darts in the backyard, having a catch with his old man.
Yeah, it just if you doubt Kyler Murray at this point, that's totally fine. It's your prerogative. But shameless plug. I had a chance to connect with number one hater of the fan base right now, so to speak, Will Brunson of CBS Sports podcast earlier today, and he is legitimately scared out of his mind that Kyler Murray is going to suit up early this season, and he's going to be old take exposed for his Tier 6 proclamation, which, by the way, there's some additional insight to that. Hoping to share that to you in the coming days. But I mean, if you're anti Kyler Murray, I think you at least have to admit where we were in December, January, where people were selling their stock. We were at media week for the Super Bowl. Everybody was basically coming down on K1, selfish player. I mean, literally, we're at the Super Bowl. Two teams, not the Cardinals, are playing in the Super Bowl. It's in Arizona. And everybody wanted to come on our podcast that wasn't associated with the Cardinals and trash Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the talk in downtown Phoenix was Kyler Murray's done. He's selfish. He's not going to come back from. And then you see what's going to transpire. Of course he wants to come back. If somebody is slinging mud at you for 18 months, if you've got a target on your back, doesn't matter how much money you made, right? It doesn't matter what you offensive rookie of the year and Pro Bowls, this, that, and the other. Kyler Murray is coming back, I believe, number one, for his teammates. And he talked about his teammates, Bo, and you're going to get to that here in a second, but also I think he just wants to shove it up everybody's ass. I think he wants to make people remember Heisman Trophy winner, first overall pick. I'm in a conference with Daniel Jones, and you have me Tier 6. You have me as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, Gannon, Ossenfort, they can have their plan. Kyler Murray can force the issue. I 100% believe that.
Absolutely. And if they're, obviously where they want to, what they want from this organization year one, if their heart, their mind's in the right place, if without a shadow of doubt, if he's 100% healthy and mentally healthy about, post injury, they should put him right back in there as the Cardinals starting quarterback, no doubt about it. And it's going to be really fascinating. I mean, as we titled this, it's a sensational headline. Can he be ready week one? We've seen, the positive story where Joe Burrow returns, post ACL surgery, and he's back in there week one, and he leads his team in his second season to a Super Bowl, right? There's the great story. And then there's the RG3, right? RG3, he rushes back to week one, and then that was the beginning of the end for that organization, for that coaching staff, for RG3's career. He was just never the same. So there's the cautionary tale, and then there's the tale that, everybody wants to point to. Well, he did it. Joe Burrow did it, and Kyler Murray's probably, a way better athlete than Joe Burrow overall. So
correct.
You've got both tales there, and you've got to figure out, where does Kyler Murray fall in line? And, week one is very optimistic. I think as far as the Arizona Cardinals and what would be, ahead of schedule, what would be shocking to a lot of people, especially the national media that took one Ian Rappaport report where he said he could miss half the season to most of the season, right? Very soon after his surgery, where I don't even think you could realistically create a timeline, right?
No.
And people have ran with that, continue to run with that. But I think if the Cardinals get to the beginning, the open of the 2023 season, right, and they don't IR Kyler Murray, that's a very good sign that he's going to come back within the first 3 weeks of the season, right? Well, that would be unbelievable for this organization. That would give them a boost right out of the gate. And I think it would change a lot of people's predictions as far as, what this team's capable wins-wise.
Yeah, because if you're going to roll with Colt McCoy, barring something unforeseen from Clayton Tune, we're going to talk about Bleacher Report later in the show and their affinity for Clayton Tune. But Colt McCoy coming out and understanding, I got 3 pieces of ammo in the clip for this year, right?
Right.
Like Kyler's coming back first week of August, right? Or first week of October. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play these 3 games like they're the last 3 games I'm ever going to start. And he might play like that anyway. And kudos to Colt. And, he's had to sub in multiple times the last 2 seasons. So you never know. But I think the fan base would feel much. Can we get one? Can we get one of the 3 first games? And then K1 comes back and then all bets are off. I checked BetMGM before the show to see if the line moved against the Commanders. It has not.
Okay.
They're still a 6-point underdog. Almost plus 200 for the Cardinal money line. Again, we might dabble. I already told you I think Cardinals are winning week one with Colt McCoy. But to me, I love this from Stuart in the chat, by the way. Video has me optimistic that he's taking the field sooner than later. I think that's a healthy approach, Stuart. I'm traveling from the UK for week 1. It would be incredible to see him out there. Hey, brother, even if he's not out there, come say hi, say what's up at BetMGM. We'd love to meet you. Buy a beer, Stuart. Can't wait to see you out there on the great lawn. And it would be great to see Kyler Murray back. I mean, to me, it would give new life to the season. And I'll tell you right now, this might be propaganda from the team, and they did that with their PBS version of Hard Knocks last year. It was propaganda by the spoonfuls, right? Team propaganda. It wasn't the insight. I don't think it's a good sign if this is what they're doing, and I hope it's not, to tease Kyler Murray's return if he's not ahead of schedule, if he's trending toward November, right? If you're going to bring him back at that, don't unveil a flight plan. You can have a flight plan on his recovery. You can show clips from January, February, March, but I mean, you tease this flight plan episode with your franchise quarterback slightly padded up, throwing the football, running 14, 15 miles an hour, according to he and his dad. It's I would be hesitant if I was the team. They don't listen to me, but to release that if it wasn't kind of to imply Kyler Murray's on his way back sooner than you think.
I mean, this is a Kyler Murray loaded episode, and props to the organization and their whole media crew over there and how they're promoting this, because I think this is going to be one of the most watched flight plans, especially considering what time of year it is, that you're going to have eyes on this thing and people excited about it. I don't know if it's I don't know, or irresponsible for them to just show it. I mean, I think this is something that we missed in Hard Knocks last year. We didn't get a true glimpse of Kyler Murray. They didn't get to zero in on the Cardinals franchise quarterback at any point, right?
Well,
because the season was so bad, and they tightened up on him post-contract because the team was imploding. And then Kyler Murray got hurt, and then all opportunities to kind of make an episode based around Kyler Murray was gone.
I disagree, and I disagree with Jay in the chat too. He said, I don't think it's a return tease. It's just the insight into his recovery. Now, if they think that, and they put this out there, I think it's a mistake, because you're teasing fans with 14, 15 miles an hour, which most quarterbacks can't do that on their best day in college football, right? And then you get Kyler Murray. I can run straight line 15 miles an hour, and Kyler Murray doesn't come back until November. Well, what are we doing here?
This team, the consensus about the Arizona Cardinals right now is that their own draft pick is going to be the -- 1 overall pick, that they're going to bottom out even worse than last year, that they're going to have less than 4 wins. They're going to be the worst team in the NFL. Okay. If you get the opportunity to go follow Kyler Murray to Dallas during his downtime, and you get, insight into his recovery, and he says that, what do? You keep it on the editing room floor? I think so.
I think you temper expectations unless there's an agreement from everybody that Kyler Murray is going to say when he comes back. Because here's the thing, is everybody expects you to be bad anyway. Kyler has his guaranteed money already. So and Jonathan Gannon is not purposely trying to tank and lose games. Neither is Monty Ossenford, but Jonathan Gannon is opening up training camp, and they're going to go all out to beat the Commanders and the Cowboys and the New York Giants and whomever's in their first month of the season and beyond. If Kyler Murray forces the issue and says I'm ready to play, as Kyle Odegaard, friend of the program at Compare.bet wrote, said he is pushing the Cardinals to come back sooner rather than later. Then we get this clip, and I'm anxious to hear from Jonathan Gannon, because if Kyler Murray is at practice, that's my next question for you, Bo. We got training camp kicks off in 2 weeks, right? Just 2 weeks away, training camp. First preseason game is less than a month away, right? Yeah. We don't expect, obviously, Kyler to suit up for that. When do you think we'll see K1 in like full pads? Could it be
that's the biggest question, right? Because it can accelerate what the expectation is from the fan base of when they should see Kyler Murray. But I mean, we're going to talk to Jonathan Gannon very likely on July 25th when vets and rookies report, and he'll kind of give us the state of the organization, post OTAs and mini camp and post vacation time, and really gear up. We'll get a first glimpse of the real Jonathan Gannon, the head coach, where the honeymoon phase is over and it's time to start seriously thinking about what this roster is going to look like in winning and losing football games. And with that being said, I mean, I think that they're going to set up when they feel like Kyler Murray is going to come back. And if they feel like it's imminent, I think that they won't, keep it a huge smokescreen over that. Like, that's the one thing, like, is we're seeing clips on social media. We're going to see it in Flight Plan tomorrow. We've got more from that episode via azcardinals.com. But, like, there's nothing that resembles a definitive return timeline. We haven't seen one. We haven't heard one the entire offseason.
Probably on purpose. Purposeful.
Well, I mean, so for, like, everybody behind the scenes knows it, but nothing's leaked out to anybody else. I think that we would have heard, like with Joe Burrow, he would say, anytime you heard from Joe Burrow, he was like, I'm going to be cleared. I'm going to be ready to go for training camp. And with Kyler Murray, it's way murkier than that. And that might be by design, but it's also like, I don't see it as like a tactic to win week one of the season either. I mean, yeah. I think that they still don't know, and they're not truly setting that expectation. Like, I'm not sitting here and the wool's not pulled over my eyes by, an exciting video where he looks great, and, it could, lead to him getting back on the field earlier than even anticipated. But I still don't think, like, it's going to really let the fan base down.
No, I think for me, it would be strange to put that out there and then to not see him until November, right? Wouldn't that be weird? Like, do we have a consensus now? I guess we don't have a consensus on anything, but it feels like we have a consensus now. Like, late October is the latest, right? Again, right. From that rap sheet initial comment to now, it's like, that's worst case scenario for him to come back. And maybe that's only if he suffered, God forbid, a setback in practice. But to me, you start connecting the dots, because we were stupefied during March free agency when they didn't sign a quarterback, and we know they were in on Joshua Dobbs, and they were sniffing around a couple other guys, and then they just said, nope, we're good. And then Clayton Tune, we're hopeful, but he was a late round pick for a reason. So it's like, maybe they knew, maybe they had some insight that Kyler Murray's recovery,
you hope, right?
Yeah, that Kyler Murray's recovery was going well enough that they were like, we can just saddle up with Colt McCoy for 2 to 4 weeks to begin the season. And then we got K1 for at least 13 games. Because if that's the case, it's going to make a lot more sense.
Even the clueless previous regime. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was saying this before the season was over. Is like, the question was asked, is Kyler Murray, and I think it was probably just assumed that, with Zach Ertz's injury, is Kyler Murray lean on players going through similar recoveries? And Cliff basically said, well, yes, but no, because he's such a freak, and we anticipate him getting back and being on a different schedule than anybody else. So I don't think that they're optimistic. They've been optimistic, I think, just because you look at the caliber of athlete that Kyler Murray is, and it's going to be tough to slow him down. But look, I mean, the cool thing about this and what that video got me excited about is, like, as far as speculation, as far as anticipation, at some point, and, late September, early October, Kyler Murray's going to run out of the tunnel. He's going to take a snap from under center in the game. And, a play is going to break down, and he's going to look downfield after making it all happen, improvising on his own. And he's going to hit a wide open Hollywood Brown. And people are going to remember how good Kyler Murray was after they forgot. And those Kyler haters we were talking about, they're going to be on notice. They're going to continue to be on notice as he makes his way back, especially on the field of play.
It's crazy, because I think our mindset early in the offseason was, if you could get half the season, that's a win. If you get half the season, that's a win for Kyler Murray and for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I think we'd be disappointed if it wasn't at least some kind of robust double-digit number. And like, wouldn't it be ironic if he missed the same amount of time he missed like 2 seasons ago? It just came at the front end of the season.
Yeah.
I want this offense to be finely tuned up front on the offensive line. I want it to be simplified. I want it to be run heavy, and I want him to be set up for success to come back and to have an idea of exactly what they want to do offensively. Because if they come out with Colt McCoy week 1 and Colt McCoy throws the ball 17 times, then we're going to have and they lose. Everybody's going to say, well, Kyler Murray can do that. Kyler Murray can throw the ball 17 to 25 times, and he can stay within the realms of the offense. And to me, if it's a very, not conservative offense, but if it's run dominant and they want to lean on James Conner and they want to lean on play action in the tight ends, it's my argument from the beginning. We talked to the Twitter doctor at Super Bowl Media Week saying Kyler Murray will be ready to play from the pocket, come week one. It's everything else that they're worried about and cautious about.
Yeah, and what JG told us, and he said and maintained and reiterated, is that they're not going to bend on what they feel is the criteria for him to come back. In this organization, we talk about their focus on the details. I think that they'll understand what, all the boxes that need to be checked for him to get the green light to get back on the playing field. They're not just going to be like, we'll just see how it goes. I don't think that that's in their thought process at all. I think that, the Arizona Cardinals have an idea of where Kyler Murray needs to be in order to get on the playing field 100% mentally and 100% physically. They know what that looks like. They've got the training staff that they revamped this offseason, this front office, this coaching staff. Like, they know what they want to see from Kyler Murray. And if they don't, we'll have to play the waiting game. But, until then, it's all speculation. But, this upcoming flight plan episode that they kind of outlined from Darren Urban on the team website today, it's got to have you pumped up. It really was the first time we've heard from Kyler Murray post ACL tear, because, after that, he wasn't available. And this is going to be, I think what Cardinals fans have been craving for a long time is hearing from their franchise quarterback. So, we got to hear from Kyler Murray about the end of last year. And we've got quotes from Kyler Murray that are going to be in tomorrow's flight plan. And that's the kind of one of the first quotes we'll get into here, is Kyler Murray talking about, what went wrong as far as last year. Emma, if we could see the first quote here about Kyler Murray talking about the end of last year. The whole last year was an expletive. I don't know, Johnny, what expletive did he use here?
Fuck, maybe. Shit.
It doesn't flow very well, but it happened for a reason. The things we were doing weren't sustainable for success. It was necessary, and in turn, good will come out of what happened. So, kind of a necessary evil Kyler Murray is outlining there, as far as how things ended last year, and then kind of getting into his play. How he kind of hit a wall in year 4. He said to hit a wall in year 4, especially after going through the whole contract thing, the energy, the aura, the vibes going into the season were all negative, having to deal with all the stuff and trying to focus on football. And then I got COVID in camp. I hurt my wrist in camp, so I missed a lot of reps, and having to play catch up in the season, starting with the Chiefs. It was kind of a compilation of, what's the expletive here, Johnny?
F up?
F up, on? Things going on. So he's being pretty transparent, something, we didn't get from anybody in the organization about all the things that were going on last year.
Yeah, and you love to see that honesty, because we all watched it from up close and from afar, in the case for our listeners, and it's just, he had no synergy with Cliff Kingsbury, and you could almost tell that there was a lack of trust after what happened during the offseason. Kyler Murray wanted to be paid. Cardinals waited 6 months, and there was the addendum, the homework clause, and public humiliation. The Cardinals did that to Kyler Murray, whether directly or indirectly. They had to own that, right? And then there was the doubt that came from K1 with his head coach. He and Cliff Kingsbury, according to Josh Weinfuss, didn't really have a consistent level of communication. They didn't speak to each other all that often. They went through their quarterback coach. So it did. I mean, we watched it, and it's not surprising, right? Well, look how unprepared the team was to play in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. They did not look like an NFL team. They ran a country club level training camp and then showed up on Sundays and then just kind of winged it, right? Kyler Murray beat the Las Vegas Raiders offensively by himself in the second half with some help from Byron Murphy and Isaiah Simmons. But I mean, he's just running around backyard football, making plays, because they didn't have a consistent cohesive energy and game plan. And so things did not get better. Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury barking at each other against the Saints on Thursday Night Football, the lone home game that they did win. And then things kind of culminated with Kyler goes down, Keim goes missing, Cliff Kingsbury gets fired, and everybody this offseason, despite the ACL tear, it's given everybody a chance to take a deep breath and have a clean slate. And we've made the argument, Bo Brock, many, many times. If Kyler Murray doesn't get injured, they win 7+ games. They beat Tampa. Yeah. They beat the Falcons. They might beat the Patriots. Cliff Kingsbury's still the head coach of this franchise. Now, they probably have a different general manager, but they're rolling into the season with Cliff Kingsbury, which I think we all agree it would not be in the best interest of Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
No, it would have been a very tense, awkward situation going forward, and tough to kind of. You'd have to recontract in some way and figure out what that relationship's going to look like going forward. Right. And instead, they decided to hit the full reset, and it's been, the organization trending in the right direction for the first time in too long. And you get Jonathan Gannon in here, and we hear Kyler Murray kind of his first thoughts on JG about Monty Ossenfort. Gannon saying, quote, "They are really investing in the organization, in the team. You run through a wall for that type of guy," talking about Gannon. That's the energy he brings, and you love to hear it. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard him talk about Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I've heard him answer and clap back like we're fine, right? But I never heard him say like he brings the energy and it inspires the troop. Like I never heard that.
No. And again, like plenty of people in the national media, specifically in Philadelphia, have dogged on Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon could be the best thing that's ever happened to Kyler Murray and vice versa, right? They need each other. The energy matches, the competitive will to win. And I think, everybody else externally looks at Jonathan Gannon and sees the funny videos and criticizes him for the Philadelphia collapse in the second half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what Kyler Murray sees? He's like, hey, this is my first, with all due respect to Cliff, this is my first real NFL coach that's got experience, has a resume worth reminding people. This guy's been a hot NFL coordinator for many, many years, from Indianapolis secondary coach. He worked under Mike Zimmer. This guy knows his shit. And then you've got a staff that Drew Petzing, Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett. Last year, Nick Rallis choosing Arizona over Philadelphia. I'm sure those kind of things excite Kyler Murray to be able to see the resume and talk to people that he trusts and say, these guys can help me and I can help them. Whereas there was no cohesion last year. It was a puzzle that didn't fit together. And at the end of the day, everybody needed a fresh start. But the one entity that remains, whether you love him or hate him, is the one that led to the most success. Like Steve Keim was a detriment to this franchise, and Cliff Kingsbury, as we saw, as seasons progressed, he was over his head. Kyler Murray is the one entity of those three that anybody would be able to pick out and say, this is worth salvaging, because when he's right, he's an MVP caliber player. Let's get him a better support staff and see how we do. And I'm sure he's excited about that.
Yeah, it's some great points, no doubt about it. I think it's probably refreshing. I mean, I think for the most part, the previous coaching staff would say, hey, we've got a plan for you, or hey, we've got a plan in place. And they probably would never give you what that plan was. Where I think Jonathan Gannon and his staff, Drew Petzing, Isaiah Wolfork, the quarterback's coach, like they'll say, yeah, we got a plan, and this is what it is, and this is why we're doing it, and this is what we'll do if the defense comes with this look for you. It's just all when the old staff would say we got to focus on the details, they didn't know what that meant and what entailed. And I think that the new staff absolutely does. And just the way that we've seen and answered and heard, asked questions and heard answers from them, Kyler continued about kind of the new organization vibes going on and what it's going to take to really kind of remedy this thing. And it basically comes down to what would remedy any organization, and that's winning. This was another quote from Kyler Murray about how winning can pretty much cure all. So I think winning cures all, and it's been tough to do that with some of the circumstances that we've had to deal with. But I think we're headed in the right direction. And then he kind of got into his rehab here. Kyler Murray talking about his rehab. He says, you feel like you get a little grace period right after it happens, right after he tore it. He went on to say, you dwell on it, you soak it in, you let the feelings take over. After that, exclamative, Johnny, which one do you think he used here?
Gosh darn it. We gotta
Probably
go.
Probably not gosh darn it. Probably
gosh
something.
Darn it.
We gotta go. Life doesn't stop. The job doesn't stop. And I'm not going to stop. Close quote there. That gets you fired up.
100%. And again, it gets you back to that earlier point that he was motivated for his teammates, I would imagine, and for his individual legacy. And this isn't Kyler Murray coming off a lengthy playoff run. This is Kyler Murray after taking an offseason of shots for the playoff loss against the LA Rams that really never stopped. And even with the torn ACL and him trying to come back from recovery, I was certainly surprised, Paul. I know you agree that people continue to come at him. And so it's if you're selling your Kyler Murray stock right now, that's fine, because I'll buy it, because it's never been lower. But at the end of the day, give me somebody who's talented as he is, motivated and hungry, right? Because you can't put a price on how much a guy wants it. And I would disagree with anybody who says Kyler Murray is a proven entity. This is what he is in the worst possible way. We have not seen him with this level of coaching and then with this mindset. I mean, everything he has said over the course of this offseason is exactly what you want. And I think, again, not giving Kyler Murray a pass for some of his shortcomings and hurdles early on in his Cardinal career, but he was enabled with some bad habits, in part because of who was running the show. And it looks like now, with the new regime in place, everybody has a similar type of mindset on how to win. And that's all he wants to do. He mentions it there, Bo. Winning cures everything. Kyler Murray, his legacy will not be dictated by Pro Bowls or statistics. It's can he win? Can he win the NFC West? Can he win playoff games? You're the number one overall pick. I mean, people get on Dak Prescott. He's the Cowboys quarterback. He's a fourth rounder. Expectations were minimal. The expectations when the Cardinals took Kyler Murray first overall were championships. Anytime you take the player first in the draft, franchise changer, tone setter, quarterback, you want to win Super Bowls with that player. And right now, they're short of that. But these new people in place, at least for this year, and that's why it's so interesting when he decides it's time for him to come back, they're going to be given an opportunity to see what he does. If Kyler Murray comes back, Bo, I know we talked about this earlier, in September, right? Cardinals aren't getting the first pick unless it's from Houston. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
There's no way.
I think he would be in a position, especially in this offense, to elevate things and create new playmakers that, a lot of people have some questions of who they are. I mean, outside of Hollywood Brown, but you think about this offense, if they can protect better, it all points to a rebound. And when to the last quote that we just kind of broke down, I think that Kyler Murray, his answer wasn't about personal success and getting back to where he once was, and saying, well, I need to complete passes at a higher percentage like I used to, and throw more touchdowns or run more. It was about, we just need to win more football games. He's realistic and really at what really is going to change the perception of him in this organization. And then a lot of questions remained, especially this offseason, about, what Kyler Murray would look like as far as, and how he would take, a new voice and a new brain trust for this organization. And he answered that, saying, I'm going to listen, I'm going to be coachable, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. But if the expletive ain't working, at some point we all have to look in the mirror. So, that's what you want to hear. Obviously, it's easy to come up with the right quotes here, and we're going to see that put into motion here, and we will speculate when we think that's going to be. But he understands that he needs to take the step in the right direction just as much as everybody else in that locker room.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it goes back to, like, everybody loves Daniel Jones this offseason from a national standpoint. Why? It's not because he had 14 touchdown passes last year. Giants won a playoff game. Giants made the playoffs. Everybody loves Daniel Jones, $40 million player this offseason. I think Kyler Murray sees that. It's like, hey, I can lean into my coaching. I can lean into my playmakers. I can be a cog in the offense. I don't have to carry the team anymore, at least right now. And I think that's a good place to be. As we continue the conversation with Kyler Murray, another good place to be, the place to be, is with our friends at BetMGM. BetMGM, of course, the home of PHNX Cardinals this fall, every single football Sunday. It's BetMGM. Swing for the fences. Super easy to get started. Log in to the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Play the BetMGM MLB free-to-play game. It lasts all summer through September 7th. And be a batter and pick an area of the strike zone. Depending on the area of the strike zone you pick, single, double, triple, home run, or pop-up, you're going to receive a prize associated with that type of hit. Now, you get one per day, and you've got to use it within 24 hours or it does expire. But what doesn't expire is our love for BetMGM. If you haven't signed up yet, use that bonus code PHNX. Now, there's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our folks in Arizona, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 in bonus bets back if it loses with BetMGM. Again, make sure you're using that bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to my guy, Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
The Four Peaks beer is going to be flowing out there at the BetMGM Sportsbook in Glendale. I know they got the flagship Kilt Lifter and, of course, the #1 wheat beer in Arizona, Wow Wheat. It's fantastic. It's there on tap at the BetMGM Sportsbook. You need more than that? Well, they absolutely have more Four Peaks beer at, of course, their brewery, 8th Street in Tempe. Check it out for yourself. You love the IPAs. They've got a full slew of IPAs, including their Staycation Super Juiced IPA. Got to check it out for yourself. The Hop Knot, got a hazy. Can't go wrong with any of that. Or, the Raj. They got the bourbon aged beer selection as well. So smooth. And their menu is untouchable. You've got the appetizers, the entrees, the desserts. Everything goes crazy there. And you can pair it with the beer of your choice that fits whatever meal you choose, which is fantastic. It's not bar food. It's better than that. It's actual. It's like restaurant quality food over at Four Peaks. Check them out on your socials as well, at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub. They got several contests going on. They're giving back to the teachers of the community. Find out how you can help out with that at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub. If you're drinking, you got to be 21 years or older. Plus, you got to do it responsibly.
Yeah, I love this quote right here. Free at Matter for the blind. If the cards are good this year, a lot of cash to be made on BetMGM. You bet your ass there is, especially if Kyler Murray's ahead of schedule. That 4.5 win total over under for the season. I mean, they play 17 games, folks. Kyler Murray.
Not favored in any game. Not favored in a single game.
That's going to change. If Kyler Murray, let's hypothetical. Kyler Murray plays 13 games. They're winning over 4.5 games. I'm sorry. Did you guys see the landscape of the NFC quarterback picture at the end of last year? I mean, the Arizona Cardinals almost came out victorious with David Blau against Tom Brady, against whatever Atlanta had to offer with Desmond Ridder, right? They're in a division with the LA Rams, who could be tanking by October. I mean, it's a long season. I think that's what people forget. It's what we've been preaching on this podcast for 6 months. Everybody wants to write off this franchise, and that's fine. Is their defensive line atrocious? Absolutely, right? Do you miss DeAndre Hopkins? Of course. But if Kyler Murray plays the majority of the season, you cannot dictate that they're going to be a bottom 5 team this year. You just can't, because I think they're going to be so much better coached. They're going to elevate the pre-existing players like a Zaven, like an Isaiah, that were here, that have not reached their potential. And then, oh, by the way, hey, Kyler Murray's back. And at worst, Kyler Murray is an average quarterback. And at best, he's an MVP caliber candidate.
Colt McCoy called him the most accurate quarterback he's ever seen on Chris Long's podcast a couple weeks ago. And you've seen it. You see the numbers. Every year he's around 66, 67, 68%. The 2021 season, he was completing over 70% of his passes for the bulk of the time, at least for the first 8 games. And then we hear from John Costco of Pro Football Focus that the Browns wide receivers, were top 5 in getting open. And with that, couple that accuracy with wide open wide receivers, I don't care who's catching the football. I mean, that's going to be lethal to opposing defenses. It just would translate to big time numbers for Kyler Murray. 2 more quotes here from the upcoming flight plan, and can't wait to see it. But mostly about Kyler Murray in his growth, his maturation, as far as growing from my rookie year to now. Quote, learning how to be one with your emotions, understanding how to talk to people. Some people are able to take the harsh way, and I am naturally that way. Or do I need to give them a little love? So just kind of learning how to communicate, it seems like, with his teammates. I don't think anybody, especially going into last year, would have put Kyler Murray in the top 10 of the league as far as communicators or, leadership is something that he's continually knocked on. And just for him trying to find a pathway to become a better leader, communicator, it's just a positive, I think, for the Cardinals.
Yeah, you just see growth from Kyler Murray that I don't know it was available. And we've talked about, he's not Joe Burrow, right? He's not going to be able to come and be almost a ready-made product in the NFL. He's just a young man. He played 1 year of college football as a full-time starter. He was a baseball player committed to the Oakland A's, 6 months before he's donning a red and white jersey for the Arizona Cardinals. Like, I think a lot of people thought, well, you just plug and play and you're ready to go. He needed guidance and tutelage, and he didn't get that, in my opinion, from the people who were here prior. And I think a lot of bad habits were presented to him, and we've even heard it from people that were associated with the franchise. Like, they rolled out the red carpet, and it's like, that's okay to do. And I'm all for supporting your quarterback, but you also have to challenge them and teach them, okay, this is what you do to be the best version of yourself on and off the field. I don't think he had that. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think at any point could challenge Kyler Murray. And as much as I love K1, he needed to be challenged. We all need to be challenged in our professional field. And so now he's got people that I know he respects now, that if Jonathan Gannon or Drew Petzing or Nick Rallis come to him and say, like, K1, hey, we got to do this differently, this is how you do it, I have no doubt that he's going to be all ears.
Yeah, I think what Cliff Kingsbury brought to the table was a system that Kyler Murray had pretty much played in his entire football career, dating back to his high school days, right? And that he could make a comfortable transition from the collegiate level to the pro level. And he did it. He provided it. But once, the league pushed back and found ways to defend that, Cliff Kingsbury was out of. He didn't have anything to bring to the table. He had no way to challenge Kyler Murray to put, to say, hey, we need to start to evolve and we needed to do it this way, because he was like, no, we know what works. We know what works with you, and we're going to stay in that lane. And it doesn't translate to success, especially in a league of adjustments like the NFL. Let's round out this. What's the last little quote from Kyler Murray? And that's part of the quarterback position and learning what I can do better and how I can be better, how I can make guys around me better. It's a team sport. We all have to be locked in. No doubt about it. So Kyler Murray's first real comment since tearing his ACL back in early December. Seems like he is chomping at the bit and ready to go. I mean, he's even talking to the team website there and talking to the cameras for the flight plan. He's doing things that he wouldn't have done previous to that. He's just trying to get some of any of the action at this point, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might seem like a minor thing. I think it shows the little bit of a cohesion between his people and the Cardinals people that he gave that interview to the Cardinals. And people might scoff, well, he plays for the Cardinals. He could have given that interview to SI or ESPN or somebody else. It's like, no, let's do it on our turf. Let's do it on our YouTube page. Flight Plan does a very nice job. And speaking of Flight Plan, tomorrow's show, not going to be at the typical 4:00 start time, Bo Brock. It's going to be immediately following Flight Plan tomorrow night. We're going to have a post-game show, be able to talk about all the takeaways. Because, if that little tease of him throwing the football with his dad is any indication, maybe we'll get more of a definitive timeline or some insight into where Kyler Murray is ahead of training camp. Speaking of where people are, Budda Baker, still no contract, 2 weeks out, Bo Brock ahead of training camp. And that doesn't stop our friends in the media ranking safeties and where do they have Budda Baker. I would say this was a good day for Budda and his agent to see this, Bo.
Absolutely. ESPN.com has been rolling out their top 10 lists, and we haven't seen any Cardinals make their way into the position groups, which have included, defensive line, edge rushers. I can't remember what other ones they've rolled out, but the Cardinals have been on the side of a milk carton at every single position group outside of the safeties.
Yes.
Budda Baker for the third straight year in the top 5, sitting at 4th overall. So when you look at the top 10 NFL safeties, according to ESPN.com, and this is a list, or this is what they went and they talked to league execs, coaches, and scouts, and they named Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Steelers the top safety, Derwin James, second best safety in the NFL from the Chargers. The Broncos, Justin Simmons is 3rd, and then there's Budda Baker 4th, Javon Holland from the Dolphins, Jesse Bates just went for the Bengals to the Falcons. He's 6th, Kevin Beard of the Tennessee Titans, CJ Gardner-Johnson from Philly to Detroit. He's at 8, and then you've got the Niners safety and Antoine Winfield Jr. of the Bucks to round out the top 10. But Budda Baker in there getting finally some respect on his name. There was a top 17 safeties list that didn't even have Budda Baker in it earlier this offseason. And the true, actually insightful, ES or NFL talking heads, the execs, the coaches and scouts, the guys that know what they're actually talking about, they get it right here with Budda.
Wouldn't it be something if we turn on Cardinal football in September and Buddha's got a new deal and Kyler Murray's back, and you be able to breathe a sigh of relief for this franchise after such a tumultuous 18-month period? And it's like, no. Buddha's great. We know he's great. He's going in the Ring of Honor someday. He might be a Hall of Famer. We're going to take care of him financially. He's bought in. He's leading this team. And then oh, by the way, there's Kyler Murray. He's throwing passes on the sideline with Colt McCoy. He's going to go in with the first team offense. Cardinal fans deserve that. And again, Buddha seeing this with his agent. I mean, this is not Joe Schmo behind the computer putting together a list, drinking a Capri Sun. This is execs, coaches, people that matter around the NFL saying, no. Put your metrics aside for a second. Yeah. Put your pom-poms down with whatever team you root for. Like Budda Baker, despite the Cardinals' dysfunction, is an ass kicker. He's a top, safety at his position. Whether he's 30 years old, 25 years old, it doesn't matter. Like what we get on the field is one of the best players in the NFL, and his contract should support that. I've always been of the mindset Cardinals should extend him, give him a little bit more guaranteed money. And, I would feel good about this season if I was Budda Baker, if I'm seeing number one throw passes like that. I would say the biggest concern for Budda is like, well, am I going to be a part of the Cardinals in a lost year? I want to win. Sooner K1 comes back, Budda. Those are the two icon entities remaining on this roster. D-Hop is gone. It was always D-Hop, Budda, and Kyler. Now you've got one on each side, and we're going to let these little baby birds try to fly this year. They need both of those entities on either side of the football.
Yeah, I mean, we were robbed of the fantasy football, Madden football, the chances of Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore all being on the field at the same time last year. I don't want to be robbed of seeing Budda Baker play in this defense. I think that it fits him too well. I mean, we talk about Gardner Johnson, who had 6 picks last year in his lone season for the Eagles playing under Jonathan Gannon. They outlined in this article that Budda Baker had a close to 20% ball hawk rate. So he's finding a nose for the football. Was he in position to pick, those passes off? No, but he's close, right? He's zeroing in on it and being put in better position by him and Nick Rawlis. I mean, it just adds up to also him being in the best shape of his career to Budda Baker breaking out even more so than we've already seen. That has to get you pumped up.
Yeah, it makes me excited. Now, I'm not ready to commit to a new jersey yet in terms of red or white for Budda or Kyler. Let's pump the brakes for the next 2 months. I'm gonna reinvest. Instead of buying a jersey right now, I'm gonna take my money to Burritos Express because I do think they've got the best burritos in the valley. And if I continue to eat them, I'm gonna have to go up a size in my jersey because they are that good. Burrito Express, the best burritos in the valley, bar none. And Bo, I've told you this off air. One of the best coups of moving to the East Valley from Maricopa, I can get Burrito Express on the regular. They have the best breakfast burrito I've ever had in my life. We had it last year. I did for the first time. It was fantastic. I'm addicted now. They've got the green chili sauce. It's fantastic. And the best part is they've got multiple locations, but of course you can't beat the first in Tempe. The Tempe location is fantastic. Burrito Express, the premier burrito provider for PHNX Cardinals. Grab a burrito and follow Burrito Express on Twitter at Burrito Express.
Yeah, Johnny, everyone knows you got to have a burrito budget. No doubt about it. So
that's right.
Free matter for the blind. Also, you got to have a budget. You don't have to have a big budget for to get some Shady Rays. They got the best deal of the summer season. You can save some shekels while going to shadyrays.com. Get in on those built-to-last premium polarized shades right now. Get 50% off 2 or more pairs of those Shady Rays sunglasses. Insane protection in all their eyewear, and they look great. They look like any of the big boutique, big name, big brand sunglasses that you can think of out there. The ones that I had previous to finding about it, Shady Rays, and they're collecting dust at my home in my truck. They're not on my face because that's where the Shady Rays reside. On my wife's face, my kid's face. We're all wearing Shady Rays. We're believers. We're like the 250,000 strong that rated Shady Rays 5 stars in the reviews. Check out, of course, them online. Check out every product that they have, shadyrays.com. Use that promo code PHNX. Promo code PHNX is going to get you 50% off 2 or more pairs of the sunglasses. Or you could check them out. They got a brick and mortar store, brand new location, Kierland Commons, full stop shop, all things Shady Rays. Check it out for yourself and check out what 250,000 people have fallen in love with and rate it 5 stars.
So Bleacher Report's had a rough offseason. Let's be transparent with this franchise.
Yeah, they had us on twice to do some work.
Well, and then also a lot of their lists and subsequent content has been very anti-Cardinals, and let's just call it anti-Cardinal acumen, right? They just kind of a little bit unaware of what's going on. And while you could say this most recent piece supports that notion, I am at least trying to buy what they're selling here. So Bleacher Report, and I'm going to try to grab the name of the person who wrote this article, Maurice Morton on Twitter, writes for Bleacher Report, put out 8 bold, and this is emphasis on bold, predictions for the start of the season. And he had one on the Arizona Cardinals. No, it was not to go 0-17. It is Cardinals quarterback Clayton Tune wins starting job for the Cardinals in Kyler Murray's absence. Now, he did say that Bob McManaman, he sourced Bob McManaman, not this podcast, that Clayton Tune could be Brock Purdy. So again, read this with a grain of salt. But he did say
Chris
that
Sims.
Yes, via Chris Sims. Though McCoy has a significant edge over Tune, the rookie can win the Cardinals' new coaching staff over, which is what we're saying with ability to make plays and athleticism. Then he sourced all of Tune's many statistics at the University of Houston. You buying or selling the bold prediction from our guy Maurice at Bleacher Report, Bo Brock?
I mean, my heart wants to buy it, but
I know
my head, it won't let me do so. I mean, you've seen way too many rookie quarterbacks, especially ones with draft status way higher than the 5th round. There's a lot to like about Clayton Tune. The productivity in college, the athleticism, a far second to Anthony Richardson, but very athletic, sneaky athletic. You look at the tape, and he's got decent arm strength. He's accurate. He's a playmaker, right? And I think that can't be overlooked. But you also have to keep in mind that this is the toughest position to play in all of sports. And to go from playing for the Houston Cougars, not in the Power 5 conference, to playing in the NFC West, I think that can't be downplayed at all. I mean, as much as we want to see what's new, is the grass truly greener on the other side? There's a lot of people who busted and got, bad starts to their playing career and immediately developed bad habits and just weren't given a shot. I don't want to see that happen to Clayton Tune, because I think Clayton Tune could be, the affordable, solid backup quarterback to Kyler Murray for years to come. And I don't want that sullied just because people want to see what he's about out of the gates, because it's the cautionary tale that we've seen so many times. This isn't like, Russell Wilson coming in after playing 5 years of college football at NC State and in Wisconsin, and then going into the ideal situation of the Seattle Seahawks. Like, if Clayton Tune throws a turnover, throws a pick, and then, the opposing offense, scores on this Arizona Cardinals undermanned defense immediately, and then puts Clayton Tune back on the field, and then he makes another mistake. It's like, it's not what Russell Wilson was, that scenario at all. I think I think it would be way more detrimental to his growth in maturation than it would be, a surprise, 5th round quarterback making his way and showing people he could play at this level immediately.
Yeah, I'm with Chase. I'm not here for the sensibility, Bo. I don't want to hear.
I wish I could get rid of it. Believe me.
I don't have it, thankfully, but I will agree with you. If Kyler Murray is on a trajectory to come back sooner rather than later, I don't have my thirst to tune up with Clayton Tune as I once did. Now, if you're selling me stock that I got to watch Colt McCoy for 17 weeks, it's going to be tough. It's a tough sell for your boy. If I know Colt McCoy's playing for a month, I can buckle up with that. But I think Clayton Tune, for any opportunity, obviously, for him to start, he would have to be unbelievable in practice on top of preseason games, and Colt McCoy would have to, in my opinion, suffer an injury, and then they would have to roll with Clayton Tune. That's the only way. I don't think Colt McCoy, as long as he stays healthy, is going to get beaten out by anybody not named Kyler Murray. I just think there's too much respect from the coaching staff. And again, like, Clayton Tune to me is a nice story, and I hope he's a footnote to the season, because if he is, that means K1 came back soon. Kyler Murray, I want the momentum to be bench Colt for Kyler Murray. He's ready to come back, not bench Colt. Let's play a 5th rounder out of Houston, as you mentioned, not a Power 5 conference. And again, everybody, the Brock Purdy example is so stupid. Number one, he's got Kyle Shanahan, and number two, the Cardinals roster. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. Our viewers are, because they're super smart. the Cardinals roster doesn't look like San Francisco's. They don't
Right.
have Brandon Ayuk. They don't have Deebo Samuel. They don't have Christian effing McCaffrey, right?
Right.
They got some nice players.
Trent Williams,
Right.
George
A
Kittle.
little bit different caliber of a roster here.
Right.
And as you mentioned, like Russell Wilson took over a team poised to go to the Super Bowl back-to-back
Mhm.
years. The Cardinals roster is a quintessential bottom 3 roster. So to force a 5th-round pick, unless he earns it, is stupid. It's just not good football. They know that. They understand that. I think Clayton Tune has no expectations of playing early. But if we get to midseason and K1's not playing and Clayton Tune's just sitting there and I got Colt McCoy looking 100 years old and not being competitive, of course I'm going to want to see Clayton Tune. It's all based on circumstances. And right now the circumstances dictate that just play him in the preseason, go from there.
I think that's the most logical take on Clayton Tune. And it's not, an early May article from AZ Central via Chris Sims' take.
We're not knocking AZ
No,
Central,
not at all.
Just...
I was just obviously the quarterback moves the needle. I mean, and Kyler Murray and of course the most popular guy in most NFL rosters is the backup quarterback at times. And when you have a rookie signal caller, people get lost as far as the old line from Shawshank about hope, right? It can be a very good thing. It also could be really, it could go wrong. Things could absolutely go wrong with a guy like any rookie quarterback, even in the most ideal situation. So we want him to be successful. I think he will be successful, especially with how, the coaching he's going to receive from Petzing and crew and Isaiah Wolfork and the mentorship of, Colt McCoy and Kyler Murray. I think it's all there for Clayton Tune to be successful week 1. I don't even think you could say that for Brock Purdy. He had the luxury of sitting and watching Jimmy G, Trey Lance, getting prepared under Greasy and Shanahan for weeks before he was asked to do anything in San Francisco. And then you go through a who's who of playmakers. I mean, it's like when you go to Illegal Pete's and you're like, I want the chicken, I want the carne. They got that. They got the pork. They got everything that you want. It's a what's what. It's a who's who. And Illegal Pete's, of course, in Tempe. Unbelievable. Their mill location. We just had Illegal Pete's the other day. They stopped by. Producer Emma's going to be absolutely distraught to find out that she missed out on the Illegal Pete's. But she was in Vegas, so I'm not going to feel that bad for her. But Illegal Pete's is elite. Check them out. All their locations here in the Valley of the Sun. It's unbelievable. You can start your week off right. Margarita Monday. You got the Taco Tuesday. And then you got the buckets of high noon. You got 5 high noons for just $22. Don't forget to follow Illegal Pete's on Instagram and stay updated with all their big events and deals going down this summer. Stay tuned on all the stories to win free tickets, concerts you're dying to see. Illegal Pete's is here to make summer, this one for the books. Don't miss out on it. Love the Illegal Pete's. It was awesome. Made some fantastic tacos. Enjoyed them. I know you missed out on them. Guac, queso, it all went crazy.
Love it. I want to stay updated on Illegal Pete's, and I think you should stay updated on GoPHNX.com. Just 2 weeks away from training camp. All the exclusive insight content you can't get anywhere else is at GoPHNX.com. Become a diehard. Join the exclusive PHNX Cardinals member Discord. The man to my right posting clips, videos, depth chart analysis, stuff you can't find anywhere else, including this show, in the PHNX Cardinals Discord. Come yell at Bo and I over the course of the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, you can pick up a free hat and or shirt from the PHNX merchandise locker for free every single year. You are part of the Die Hard exclusive club. We want to be diehards with you. We've watched everybody else have a great time this offseason. The Suns crushing it in Vegas. NHL draft with Coyotes. Diamondbacks have the NL All-Star starter. It's time for PHNX Cardinals to get back in the groove, get in the groove with a diehard membership now. You will not regret it. You'll also regret, by the way, if you miss our show tomorrow. Special start time, 8 p.m. It's a post-game show of sorts for Arizona Cardinal Flight Plan on YouTube, which I believe is set to start at 7 p.m., Bo.
This is via ArizonaSports.com, and I guess they've released some pre-released audio from the episode. And, as we talk about and speculate today, this is a quote from the upcoming episode. When you look further down the line, it seems like we got a long way to go. Ideally, this is from Kyler Murray, quote, I want to be back by week 1. That's the goal At the end of the day, that's the goal, but I can't really look that far ahead. I've got to take it one day at a time.
BetMGM.
Look at that.
Sportsbook app right now. Everybody grab your smartphones, your smart devices. Plus 200 right now. Money line, week 1, Commanders. Sam Howell beating Kyler Murray. Fuck no, he's not. Kyler Murray wants to be back week 1. There it is. Your move, Jonathan Gannon. Your move, Monty Ossenford. Checkmate. Kyler says, I want to come back week 1. I'm running 15 miles per hour. Unbelievable. We could do another hour. We do another show after that. Week 1. Could he come back? That's the goal. We got a long way to go, but I'm coming back week 1. Of course you are, K1.
Me quoting Kyler Murray saying the goal is week 1 is your dreams coming true. Johnny getting his face point blank from the camera. That's nightmare fuel. That's what that is. That's your hopes, your dreams.
So is K1 against Washington Commanders. They think they got an easy dub. 6-point favorites at home. Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett. Here comes Kyler Murray. You lose.
So sorry, suckers. You can't have nice things. You're Washington.
Sorry, Ron Rivera. You've been fired. You have a new owner. Congratulations. You're not winning week 1 if Kyler Murray plays. Sorry. Yeah.
As Johnny said, post-flight plan show. It's PHNX Cardinals After Dark. You think things got weird today. They're going to be even weirder tomorrow night. So make sure you tune in. No 4 o'clock show. Post-flight plan. You watch it, we watch it, and then we're going to all break it down together. Can't wait. About 7:30-ish, I would imagine, tomorrow night. We'll be hanging out. Can't wait. Until then, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Nearly 15,000 strong, PHNX Sports. Follow us on all your socials, at Johnny Venerable, at Bo Brack, and, of course, at PHNX_cards. Now on Threads. Yeah, follow it and enjoy it, and we'll talk to you soon.